Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another round of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks, coming to you as always from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Pucking Business. Ooh, yeah. I lost my voice. Wonder why. Mind Your Pucking Business podcast brought to you by our good friends at the Bamboozle Project and DraftKings. We encourage you to go to thebamboozleproject.com, find all the gear or any of the things on that site you would like. Use promo code MYPB, and that magical four-letter combo saves you 20% off your total order. This is episode 153, Ciento Cincuenta y Tres.
Oh, buddy.
You like that one?
Yeah.
On the Spanish dial, so we appreciate you tuning in. If you're listening using that feature, you can send us your questions at any time at mypbshow@gmail.com, or you can do the more popular road, and the road you're probably going to get more of an instantaneous answer, and that is on the Instagram platform, where I believe we are live, if I'm not mistaken.
We are live.
We are live.
Pouring. Oh my God, it's popping in the Instagram.
I'm not surprised.
But we cannot bring the Instagram comments to the screen here. So if you want your name and you want your text to come up on the screen here today, just like Antoinette just wished us a great morning it is, guys. You're right. It is a fantastic morning. You have to be on YouTube or Facebook to have those privileges.
Yes, you can. So you can listen to us there. You can also listen to us on the audio feed on Spotify and iTunes. You can watch the video feed on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. You have plenty of choices to roll with if you want to find us.
Absolutely.
So we are taping this on Wednesday, May 8th, and we're normally on Tuesday, and we made an executive decision here over the weekend, not knowing what would happen, that instead of going on our normal day on Tuesday, which would have been the morning of game 2, hey, let's move 24 hours to the right. Let's go to Wednesday morning, and that will allow us to cover game 2. And here we are. So we have the ability to do that.
Shift it was.
Yes, it was a good call by the big wigs at Undefeated Media. That is why the people around these studios get paid the big bucks, because they make right decisions all the time. They're never wrong.
It's a team effort.
It's a team effort. But those people in the offices down the hall with the big chairs, they know what they're doing.
They do.
But there's plenty to talk about last night, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Sunday first, because we try to keep things here in chronological order.
Yes.
Game 1 on Sunday. If anybody thinks, and I didn't go at it with people on the comments on Instagram, but there were a lot of people that felt this, and I'm just like lost on this.
Yeah.
If anybody thought the Rangers were the better team on Sunday, I don't know if I have a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn or what, because Carolina was clearly the better team in my eyes on Sunday, and the Rangers sat back and played a defensive effort, defensive focus up 3-1, and it almost killed them. Thank goodness Svechnikov, with 40 seconds left on Sunday, took a penalty to neutralize the power play that Carolina was given. It just was, you came out of Sunday. Here's what I took away from Sunday. And I said this to Jess and the kids on Sunday after we had dinner after that game. I said, we've been saying forever how these two teams are really even and they're both really good. And I took that on Sunday, and you could see that, right? I mean, the Rangers won that game because of how good their special teams was. They had two power play goals. They were able to penalty kill. Special teams really won them game 1. Last night, again, teams super even. The Rangers go up 1-0 on an absolute gorgeous snipe by Lafreniere. And it wouldn't be fair today to not speak about Lafreniere and, again, the progression that he had. He had 2 goals last night. He also had plenty of opportunities to win the game and score more. But, again, Lafreniere just continues this positive trajectory in his career growth, and keeping in mind how young he is. So you have that. You don't like what drove me nuts last night. You can deal with some of these deflected goals. It's 1-1 late in the first. And I had literally said to my wife and son, my daughter wasn't there at that point in time, get out of this period 1-1. Carolina was swarming them. They were just get out of it 1-1. And 5 seconds left, Gensel tips the puck in, and the Rangers are down 2-1 going into the second. Lafreniere equalizes it 2-2. Again, lead given right back. There was a problem last night, and they actually pointed it out on the broadcast, but it was clear as day that I don't know if Carolina has found something in their film sessions where throwing the puck from the corners to the net. There's blown defensive coverage. It
Mhm.
happened in game one, actually, and it happened again last night on a goal. That it just seemed like for a while, like it has to have been a message from Rod Brindamore because it's happening too much to just not to be fluke, right? So they go down 3-2. They're down 3-2 going into the third. And what I said at that point, there were two things I said. One, I said, look, if Carolina is going to win and come out of the Garden with a split in game two, do me a favor. Make them earn it in the third period. Make Frederik Andersen stand on his head and make 19 third period saves. And you know what? Then they earned it, right?
Yeah.
The Rangers fight back. Kreider scores doing what he does, going to the net, scoring on a rebound, and the game goes to OT. I didn't have a problem both ways with any of the penalties in OT, especially the ones that were called on the Rangers. Like, you know, I was joking with you before we went on before that the amount of people that text me during overtime in a Ranger playoff game is amazing because you're the last people I want to deal with in my life. Everyone. There's no one. I was getting work calls last night for my real job at 10:06, and I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. I said, like, are you out of your mind? I don't want to. I can't deal with anything right now. The only person that makes me like that I smile with is you because I find like I don't know if I take pride in the fact that I've gotten you into this, that you're watching these games and you're so into it.
Hell yeah.
But so everyone's, you know, crazy about the penalties on the Rangers in overtime. Honestly, I thought they were penalties. I try to take an objective look to all of this. This is like our main thing here at MYPB is we'll pick against the Rangers if we don't think they're going to win. We're fair. I didn't have a problem with it. And I also didn't have a problem with the penalty that the Rangers ultimately won the game on. So it goes in overtime. So many chances, right? Both ways. Mika in the first overtime on a 2-on-1 that basically led to a mini breakaway. You know, Frederik Andersen goes down to make a save. If he just simply dekes either way, the puck's going in the net. Yeah. Then he had another great chance. Lafreniere had a chance in front of the net. The save.
Kreider had another chance right in front of the net.
Go ahead. You want to use your name. Go ahead. That's why you're doing it.
His new nickname is Crease Kreider. He had a great crease goal in the beginning of the game, and he's got a lot of them. So I think his new nickname should be Crease Kreider. But he did blow one in overtime. That was right in front of the crease.
Yes. Anyway. And people on Instagram saying they were there last night, like our friend Jeremy in the studio today, who gave me the towel to borrow for the show. You guys got a real treat. I mean, that's the sort of thing you go to a game like that. Like, you know, I went to the Knicks game last week. Yeah. You either walk out of that building in sheer jubilation, or like when I walked out, it was like a funeral, right? I mean, I it's just, yeah. So, you know, they go obviously into double overtime. Oh, what I wanted to say, and I got distracted there. The save that Igor made in the first overtime on Sebastian Aho in front of the net on a wraparound was just all world. I had said something, and if you don't believe me, it is on our Instagram story. And I'm going to take flack for this because I was wrong. So, but I'm going to call myself out when I'm wrong.
Never wrong. What?
I'm wrong a lot. I said in a text message at 9:21 last night in the second intermission. Now, there are some words in there that I'm not going to say here, but if you want to see what was actually said, you can go on our Instagram story because I literally screenshotted. Yeah, I screenshotted the chat. Yes. And in a nutshell, in a PG rated version, which is what we're going to use here, I said, look, if you're an elite goalie, stand on your head right now, right? If you're that good, which you are, you've won the Vezina, you've been nominated for the Vezina before, you're 3-3 in a home playoff game in a critical game too, find a way to get your team a win. Maybe your team scores 2 seconds into overtime. Maybe it's going to take 2 hours, which it might have. Whatever it is, find a way as an elite goalie to stand on your head and get it done. And Igor Shesterkin did that. Igor Shesterkin last night was so good. And what is not being talked about enough is that everyone is focusing on the amount of saves he had, which is fair and is going to be what people are going to talk about. But I'll take it a little further. Some of these saves that he had last night were outstanding opportunities. Like, we're talking grade A scoring chances. Can I also ask a question?
Absolutely.
And I'm going to go to YouTube in a minute for all you people writing stuff and on Instagram, because maybe someone can have the answer to this. Jordan Staal plays on the Hurricanes. I was trying to explain this to my kids last night. Jordan Staal, and Matthew, we'll get to the Oscar for Igor's flip performance. Jordan Staal plays on Carolina.
Yes.
Jordan Staal comes from the family of Eric Staal and Mark Staal, who Ranger fans know well, even though he's in Philadelphia now, right? Jordan Staal to me might be 67 years old. I don't even know how this guy is in the league. There were 2 plays in overtime where this guy is dangling through our defense on one play, and then the other one dangling behind the net and almost scored. How is this guy even? First of all, I don't even understand how he's still in the league, let alone in that situation. That old man's got to be exhausted and is dangling through our defense. But we're not gonna get into that. And yes, I see your comment, Adam, that Staal is a whiny bitch like the rest of the Canes.
Pulling all the language out this week.
I mean, people, look, it's the playoffs.
The kids aren't watching, are they?
No. The kids better be in school. So, yeah. So that is Igor. We can talk about the amount of saves he had, and you should, but you also should equally be saying to yourself how many high quality saves that he made last night, which is just incredible in the moment.
Crazy amount of saves.
And the other thing with Igor, particularly in the first overtime, he controlled rebounds. There were not a lot of rebounds. There were high quality shots from in front of him, and the rebounds never went in front of the crease. Chances are one of those rebounds goes out. Carolina's got a 50% chance of being the first stick on the puck. Got a good chance of scoring. So we talk about that. Panarin, go ahead.
Just because it's on your topic, during one of the intermissions, they were saying that it looks like the Canes goalie, I forgot his name,
Frederik Anderson,
had a brand new glove optimized for rebounds. And what do you know? Off a rebound came Trouba's goal.
It did. Trocheck. Yes. Well, we'll talk about Trouba since you brought him up.
Okay.
Let's talk about some negatives, right? Because we talk about everything on the show. We don't focus on the positive.
Yes.
What in the world is going on with Jacob Trouba and penalties? I mean, what? We could take it a step further, and we could say that it's not captain-like behavior. You don't want your captain doing that. But this is the playoffs. I don't care who's doing it; it's unacceptable. I don't even get into the part B. It's just the fact, like, what is going on here? And defensively, Jacob Trouba, and I understand they played a lot of hockey in the last 48 hours, but he's just all of a sudden looks a step
aggressive.
Well, a step aggressive on the penalties, but a step back on some of the defensive plays.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but I mean, Trouba, like these penalties here, and again with Carolina, at some point, Carolina is going to start capitalizing on the power play. It's inevitable. I'd love to be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, and we're sitting here a week from now, and they're getting ready for Game 6 if there is a Game 6. But you cannot keep giving this team opportunities. You can see already that the difference in the power play skill between Carolina and Washington is apparent in how the puck movement. And last night in overtime, when Carolina had the power play in the first overtime, the puck is in the Rangers' end for the full 2 minutes. Now, they may not have scored, and the Rangers did a really good job keeping the puck to the outside, but there was never a single power play in the Washington series where Washington had the puck in our end for 2 minutes. This is a different power play. Panarin last night, 3 assists. He almost also had the game winner on an absolutely gorgeous move. And the difference, again, and we talked about this last week, is now Panarin doesn't score on that play. It really doesn't matter because they won anyway. But the fact that he's that confident to be able to do that move, to try that move, is the difference in Artemi Panarin now versus the Artemi Panarin in the series last year versus the Devils.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
100%. You can see that. Can we also talk? I have not been at game. I didn't go to either game. Just full disclosure, I decided to watch them at home. We'll see about going forward. I guess there's now definitely a Game 5. There will be another home Ranger game at some point. Whether I'm there or not, we'll see. Can we stop with the Tony DeAngelo booing every time he gets the puck? Like, it's just getting old. It's like the Potvin sucks thing. Like, it's just like it's getting old. I understand.
It's almost doing the opposite effect.
But it's
giving it attention.
It's not like if I'm at the game, and again, I can't talk that I was at the game because I'm not. It was like last week. I took my son to the Knicks game, right? And every time Joel Embiid gets the ball, they're booing, right? I'm focusing on the game. Yeah. I'm not focusing on the fact that I want my mind to recognize that every time Joel Embiid, who couldn't walk in Game 5, by the way, that's how hurt the guy was, that we're going to sit there and boo and chant things that my 9-year-old or 10-year-old son loved to hear that he should never be hearing in his life. But like, it's the same thing with Tony DeAngelo. I understand there was a falling out with him in the Rangers and the whole thing with Kreider and Gorgiev. I get it. This is now 3 or 4 years ago. Tony DeAngelo moved on to Carolina, then he moved on to Philly, and he's back in Carolina. Like, it's just over. Like, I don't need to hear it. He's not my favorite player. I'm not going to go out and buy his jersey. I get it. but we can move on.
Yeah, we gotta get over it. And the Joel Embiid things are slightly different. Like he's there in the time, like you're playing against him. Like Joel Embiid was never on the Knicks, but like this guy, like you gotta get over it. Gotta get over your exes. It's time to move on.
Yeah, and Nikolai can have the opposite, which is that and D'Angelo punched a player who no longer is on our team, and we boo. I get it, but Nikolai, at some point, it's just okay. Like it gets old. Mm-hmm. It's like I can't stand when the Rangers do the Pot Van Sucks thing. Like that, this was like 1970. Ranger fans that are in the building were not alive when it happened. They don't care. They're not that passionate about it. The Svechnikov penalty on Igor. Mm-hmm. He hit Igor behind the net. Now, what frustrated me last night, I'll be honest with you, is that I wanted them to capitalize on that power play because that could have been backbreaking, right? If you're going to sit there and hit your goalie, you want them to pay for it and score. And Mika had there was a gorgeous feed. I forgot who threw it in front of the net that Frederick Anderson basically stuck the glove out and Mika threw it into the glove. I didn't think it was a major, like, the NHL has this thing where, and I like this system because if you're going to call a major, it's such a critical thing to do. It puts a team on a major disadvantage. You have to make sure that you're right. And so I never have a problem with them either way, whether it favors the Rangers or not, reviewing majors. I want referees to get the call right. They got this call right. This was not a major. Mm-hmm. Igor, to me, and we love Igor. He's on this towel that we have in front of the computer today. Mm-hmm. Igor, to me, also, to an extent, embellished it. It should have been a 2-minute penalty, which they called. There was contact, and the contact for, if I'm Svechnikov, certainly could have been avoidable. But Igor made that look a lot worse than it really was. I mean, you have to be honest. Mm-hmm. So the other thing with last night, I said, so I was on a podcast on Saturday night, mm-hmm. and I was on the From the Blue Seats podcast. We were previewing this series. And we were talking about games 1 and 2 at the Garden. And I had said, look, I think this team will get a split at MSG. You want to get the first 2. You obviously don't want to go down 2. Mm-hmm. But I thought that this team had to be content if they got a split at home. Now you're up 2-0. And yesterday, I thought for sure, if you saw me yesterday, that I said, I have a feeling they're going to lose. I got a bad feeling about tonight. It's kind of like what I have about tomorrow night now, but we'll get there in a minute. The fact that they were able to win this game from being down 2-1 to tie it at 2, to being down 3-2 to come back and tie it at 3, to play, almost 5 periods of hockey, it just speaks about this team and how special it is. I don't want to get into what the situation is going to be here in 6 weeks because we can predict and we could say what we want to happen. We can say what we fear will happen. You can take it a million ways. Mm-hmm. This is a very unique group. This is a very lovable Ranger team. They all play for each other. Laviolette said it after the game. This is a pretty special group, man. The way that they battle all year, they go down in so many situations, not just necessarily in the playoff games. I can think of a ton of regular season games where they were down and they battled their way back. Like I could go back to the November game against Columbus where Lafreniere tied it with like 6 seconds left in front of the net. I could go to the Buffalo game the night before Christmas, the Christmas break when Kreider won it on a feed from Zibanejad. I like the list goes on and on of games. The Ottawa game. I mean, just so many games to me where they came back. It's a very resilient group. And one thing about this team all year is they believe in themselves. The Stadium Series, perfect example, Antoinette. Thank you so much. That's probably the best example right there, is that this team just refuses to quit. Jeremy and I were joking before, like this whole no quit in New York, and I've had enough of that too. Like we can move on. But this team does embody that saying, like they just do not quit.
Love it.
I mean, it's a special group. Yeah. And now, you've put Carolina in a position where they have to now beat the Rangers 4 or 5 times, which is not easy. Is it impossible? No, it's not impossible, but it's not going to be easy to do with how resilient this group is. I mean, it really is. And Nikolai saying that I said the Stadium Series is just 2 points, and it is. I mean, I still stand by that. I mean, it's still at the end of the day. Last night, like if we look, Nikolai, at the way the season has gone and all of the positives, and thankfully there have been far more positives than negatives. Mm-hmm. There have been more positives, but a lot of the positives don't have to do with the Stadium Series. Like it would have happened without the Stadium Series. So now the series shifts to Carolina. A couple things. and I'm gonna get killed for this. Can
Uh-oh.
we like what is Matt Rempy doing now on this team?
Dude, you were chanting his name last night, right? You were chanting his name last night.
What is going on? I look. I said this last week. Okay, and I'm gonna say it again. Anytime anybody puts on a Ranger jersey and wears the Ranger jersey, I am a fan of you. I have nothing against Matt Rempy. I don't know if you're
a fan of Matt Rempy.
No. I am not a fan of Matt Rempy. Okay. I don't understand why people are, again, defending this guy like he's Mark Messier.
I think he's cut from a different cloth than a regular Ranger player.
Matt Rempy. Okay, this is also not Washington. Tom Wilson is not on the other side. Carolina doesn't have a guy like Tom Wilson. Doesn't have a guy that's going to come out and destroy you, physical, right? Doesn't have a goon. It's just the way Carolina plays. So his mindset is not the same. And I see people are defending him on the Instagram chat, and it's fine. I respect your opinion. Go ahead. You can go at me all you want. But the first game, Matt Rempy got called for a penalty. That was not his fault. I will give him that. Okay. But Matt Rempy, if we're putting a player out on the ice that really isn't going to produce anything offensively, and don't tell me that he scored in game one against Washington, because I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear that. Right? If he's not going to score a goal and he's going to have the refs watching him like a hawk, what value is this providing the team? Really?
I definitely don't think he has any value in the last 10 minutes of any game. Like third period, no. Like don't even be on the ice third period. But there's definitely some psychological and physical things that you might want to do at the beginning of the first period, and maybe sprinkle them in the second. Just
So my son last night, says to me, Tyler. Yeah. So my son, now keep in mind he's 10. Yeah. Okay, when I tell you what he says to me. Okay. So we're watching the game last night, the four of us. We let the kids stay up late. Ooh. And why my wife and kids like watching Ranger playoff games is beyond me with me, because I'm the worst individual you could possibly be around. My son says to me, Dad, I don't remember if it was the power play at the end of the third or the power play that they won the game on. Mm-hmm. He says to me, Dad, would you lose your mind if Rempy came out here on the power play? And obviously, but if a 10-year-old gets it, if a 10-year-old gets it, everyone else should be getting it. Because he meant it joking.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. So driving, I just, so to me,
yes.
And who's ever saying on the Instagram chat we wouldn't be 6-0 if he didn't score a goal, he would be. The Rangers would have won game one probably without Matt Rempy scoring anyway. They would still be 6-0. But I just I don't get it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, let's take Rempy out and put Philip Hedl in. I don't know. I'm going to be fair here. I don't know what the answer is if I take Rempy out. I'm giving you a problem, but I don't also have a solution. So I'm going to take some blame for this because I'm not really being helpful. So I'm just going to leave it as an open-ended question. What is he doing right now? Why is he there?
He's physical. You don't really have a Ranger big physical guy. It's like you're having Shaquille O'Neal on the side. You want to use him every once in a while.
It worked in the sense that with Washington, you knew Washington didn't have offensive firepower. You knew that part of Washington's game plan was going to be, if we're going to win this series or have a chance, we're going to have to be physical because we can't score goals. We have had a negative 39 goal differential in the regular season. So the Matt Rempy factor, I understood. I didn't love it, but I understood it. Yeah. This I do not understand. And I'm not necessarily saying Johnny Brzezinski will be better. I'm not, or Philip Hedl. I don't have the solution. So I'm not being overly helpful. I'm just saying I don't know what he's doing right now that is helping the team.
Fair. But to your same point, he could easily be doing stuff to not help the team, which I think he's been better at. He hasn't been a crazy psychopath getting penalties.
Yes. The people on Instagram that are going at me, and that's fine. I totally go for it. And then they're right. Laviolette is not going to change the lineup until they lose. They're 6-0. I totally get that, right? And probably that is going to win out in the logic, right? Because if Matt Rempy's in the lineup tomorrow night and you tell me that the coach, you know what? If it ain't broken, don't fix it. They're 6-0 with this lineup. Why would we change it? You'd have a point. Yeah. You would. Yeah. I get it. There's two sides. To me, I just I don't understand. Were they chanting Jeremy, who was there last night? Were they chanting his name again last night? a little bit. Like,
Also 18-2 and like something like 18-2 and 1.
okay, so they're 18-2 and
Yeah,
1 with them in
bro.
the line. No,
18-2
time
and
out.
1,
Time out.
18-2 and 1.
Here's where that argument doesn't work with me. If you look at their record without him in the lineup, they're still good. They're just a good team.
Yeah.
It's not like they were 4-16
What's
without
the
him.
numbers without him? Do we have those numbers?
It's also super high, right? So it's not like, you know, the team was 3-10 without him and now they're 18-2 and you're like, wow, that's a big difference.
We don't know those numbers right now.
But the stuff was still good. The fact that people are going to a playoff game, okay, and chanting "We want Rempy" or whatever, this dude is not playing. And when he comes out, and part of this is not his fault, the referees are just zeroed in, right? You have two referees last night. It's Kelly Sutherland and Eric Furlot. And
he got punched in the face last night, and the referees were yelling at him.
Correct. but if that's and that's not Rempy's fault. Yeah. But if that's the situation that he's in, why? What is he out there for?
So the chants are definitely like Vinsanity with the Knicks. You know, it's like this underdog kind of kid. He's like 21 years old. He's a big guy, not really what we're used to having on the team. So I could see that a little bit.
Can we pull up? Not Chris brings up a very good point there at the bottom.
Last one?
Yes. The Rangers are undefeated. No, the other one, right above it. The Rangers are undefeated in the playoffs with Rempy. The same for Roslovic, Wenberg, Will Cooley, Gustafsson, and Quick. Thank you. It's not. They're not undefeated. They're not undefeated because Matt Rempy is in the lineup. And if anybody if do me a favor, I'm gonna regret saying this because this is not nice, and I love the people that are blowing up the chat and everything. But if you're here and you really think that the Rangers are 6-0 in the playoffs because Matt Rempy's here, just don't listen to us anymore.
Wow.
Because this is not how
away our followers.
But this is not how it is. And as Chris is also saying, they're chanting for a guy they didn't even know who he was on February 1st, 2024, which is also accurate.
We didn't. The hidden gem we had in the team this whole time.
Hidden gem. Stop with the hidden gem stuff. God. So yeah, I don't know. You gotta.
I
saw that, Adam, on Instagram.
Yes. I get what you're saying, and it's totally logical. But sometimes you got to be a little illogical, and embrace some of the strange.
So the series shifts to Carolina now for Game 3 tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think he's going to be more useful on an away game.
That you could make an argument. I could live with that.
Rile people up in an away game.
I could live with
stand.
that. I'm sure that's exactly how he talks. I can live with that for sure.
Yeah.
I can also, I could see a situation. Look, if you told me, thank you, Matt, on Instagram, we're spending time talking about a fourth line winger, in which he's right. And then people are saying how everyone is salty, which is also true. I could, if I had to guess, is Matt Rempy in the lineup tomorrow night in Carolina? I would say yes, right? Because I think the logic that everyone's talking about is what the coaching staff sees. Yeah. If it isn't broken, don't fix it.
Sure.
Tomorrow night, to me, and Vegas agrees with me, is a very difficult game for the Rangers, I think. Because whenever you go on the road in Game 3, we talked about it in Washington, and it did happen. Mm-hmm. You have to weather the storm in the first 10 minutes of your first away game. Rangers are going to have to deal with that. Igor and Freddie Anderson, I mean, you can not skate today. You could take a maintenance day, which they probably will do. Mm-hmm. But you still got to be exhausted from that performance. I mean, the amount of shots you saw. The Rangers are not going 16-0 in the postseason. I mean, at some point here, I'm just saying tomorrow night to me is difficult. But
it's not obviously it's not a must win. But I think it puts the nail in the coffin. I think it definitely is soul sucking if you can kick their ass in the first 10 minutes of that game.
I don't. So I'm a Yankee fan. Okay. Mm-hmm. And yes, we don't talk baseball here. We've gotten in trouble for this before many times. But I will say this. Yeah. In 2004, when they blew the 3-0 series lead to the Red Sox, it has changed my viewpoint on 3-0 leads immensely. I have zero confidence in them. Zero.
I can understand that.
Like I've now lived it.
But here's also a common thread. Just like you saw last night. I know you probably want to get to this later with the Colorado game, but just like we saw in Game 1, like we had an early lead. We got to keep the foot on the gas at all times. You can't, like these teams like Colorado and the Dallas game, like they get an early lead and then they try to play too much defense back and all.
Well, that was the problem the other day. Yes. And I'm not going at someone in particular who was writing in the comments, and we debated this the other day.
Call him out. Call him out.
I'm not calling people out.
All right.
That told me that, they
It's
thought the
probably Chris.
Rangers, it wasn't Chris, that they thought the Rangers dominated the first game.
Uh-huh.
The first game, Carolina had 18 minutes in our offensive end versus 9. I mean, to me, that's not, it was 2-1 in the opposite. Yes.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, there were 8 power plays, so like that kind of skews things there.
Okay.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Game 1, if I remember correctly, we had an early lead.
Mhm.
And then, we took the foot off the gas. They came back. Luckily, we came out of it with a win, but it was a little nerve-wracking at the end, right?
Yes.
So you always got to keep the foot on the gas. I don't understand why we're trying to play it safe. Like, try to score more goals.
Well, it's also like in the beginning, if you remember that, and the person on Instagram saw who I was calling him out, he was watching. So if you remember in the beginning of the year when the Rangers were off to a really good start, like they had the Western Canada road trip, they went 5-0 on, like back on Halloween, that time, and everyone was like, "What are the Rangers doing different? What is Peter Laviolette doing different than Gerard Gallant? He's been here 3 weeks and the team's playing great." And there were videos that everyone was making about the 1-3-1, right? You get a lead in a game and you play this 1-3-1 defensive structure and it's over. It's lockdown. Teams can't get through it. Well, I don't know if that's what they tried to do on Sunday, but that is not how you play. And it's certainly not how you play versus a team with Carolina.
Yeah.
You cannot sit back.
Yeah. I don't like the sit back method. You need to keep going. The best way to keep the puck out of your net is to try to put it in the other person's net. Keep it on their
Hockey
offensive
101,
side.
Professor.
Yes, there you go.
There you go. That is why
There's
they
your
pay you.
Tip of the week.
That is why they pay you the big bucks at
Yes.
Undefeated Media.
Yes.
So the series shifts tomorrow night. I would assume Matt Rempy is in the lineup. And look, I'm not going to go out of my mind if he is. I mean, but I think if you were these people that literally were vicious to me 2 weeks ago with the Rempy clip, like I've never been attacked in 44 years ever for anything I've said like I was with Matt Rempy, because you would think I'm like,
it's
I poked the bear.
He's just like the underdog.
But-
You know what I mean?
but
It's like
here's
he's the people's champ.
yeah, but here's my point. If you're one of the people that went at me with Rempy, okay, are you now like 2 weeks later after this happened, when I said what I said, are you starting to see like maybe I'm not saying I'm right, but like maybe you don't need to defend the guy that much?
Do you remember Brian Scalabrine? You remember that guy? He's
Yes,
like Brian Scalabrine. He's like kind of like the
The redhead,
underdog. He does a
yes.
couple. Yeah, you don't see a big redheaded dude in the NBA making big plays.
Nikolai with a good question. This is a very good question, and I'm going to answer it on the fly if you want to pull up. How would you compare this to the Alain Vigneault year 1 team, which was 2014? All right, this team, if you remember a little quick history, they fire John Tortorella and they bring in Alain Vigneault. And Alain Vigneault had an awful start to that season. In December, so 2 months into that year, this was December of 2013, they were off to a terrible start. I'm going to tell you something I remember. John Tortorella, who I like, he has a daughter named Brittany. She posted a tweet then, and I don't even think it's still up. I think she took it down, and it was something like, "You got what you deserve," to the Ranger fans for firing her father. And later in the year, the Rangers were peaking. They went on. They ended up going to the Stanley Cup Finals, obviously losing in Game 5 in double overtime on an Alec Martinez goal, who also Alec Martinez made a play his last game in the NHL the other day with Vegas when they got eliminated. But how does this team compare? There are some similarities for sure. This team has had a much better regular season than that team, because the Rangers really have been consistent all year long. And this year, the Vigneault year, they peaked late. They beat the Flyers in 7 in the first round. They then beat the Penguins in 7. And then in the Eastern Conference Finals, they beat Montreal in 6. So the difference also, we talk about the importance of ending series early, right? And how it was good that the Rangers swept Washington. The Rangers played in getting to the Stanley Cup 20 of 21 possible games that they could have played. They didn't have a lot of rest. And then that probably ultimately was not the reason they lost to the Kings, but it didn't help. But there are some similarities. And the other similarity for sure is you've had Lundqvist playing the way he played in that playoff series. Like the game that sent the Rangers to the Cup Finals Game 6 when they won on a Dominic Moore second period goal. You still to this day see the save that Henrik made in the second period where he was like flopping around. He's got it. Jeremy's got it in the corner. Yeah, you were at that game. I mean, you still see that. So there are similarities. This team is better. It has more depth, which actually is what Chris just said. I do think it's better coached, also what Chris just said. And that's no disrespect to Alain Vigneault, because I think he was a good coach and he was good here until it all fell apart in 2018. But this team is better than that team. There are some similarities, but there are some definitely glaring differences too. And you also look like the other thing with that team was that was the year at the trade deadline. I believe it was March 2nd, the trade deadline of that year, if I remember the date, when they traded, Callahan for St. Louis. And that literally gave that team an extra foot on the gas. And St. Louis, of course, with the overtime winner in Game 4 on Memorial Day weekend against Montreal to go up 3-1. I mean, that was a trade that worked out. The goal he had on Mother's Day when his mother passed away a couple of days prior, like there was a lot of good karma around that team too. So there's definitely some similarities. And the D now, you had Girardi back then, you had McDonough. I mean, I know everyone's now saying in the chat that, the D is better now. Maybe it is, but there were some really good defensemen back in that day. So, we shall see. So the series shifts tomorrow night to Carolina. Look, I will say what I said with games 1 and 2. If you can get a split in Carolina, you would take it. Like if you could tell me right now, I could get either tomorrow or Saturday, but I've got to give up one, I'm doing that. Because the last thing I want is to come back to New York on Monday night for Game 5 and have momentum in Carolina. Yeah. Right? So give me one of the two. Yes, you want to be greedy. I get it. Why would you say that? You just got to go try. Yes, you want to win.
I think we take the first one. I think you would like to take the first one.
Okay. We shall see.
You're pissed off when you come back into New York.
We shall see. We shall certainly see with them. Any other, before we go around the league, Kevin Klein, that was a good name. Nikolai, yeah, I forgot about him. Hagelin, JT Miller, Zuccarello. Yeah, there's some good comments. Yeah. I mean, this team, it's different. There's definitely similarities. It's a great question, but there are some similarities, but there are definitely some differences. Let me just look at my points real quick, make sure we got it, everything. I think we did. We talked about Lafreniere's progression. We talked about Mika and Panarin. Enough with Tony DeAngelo. Trouba penalties. Yeah. So, I mean,
it's a wonderful time to be alive in New York.
And Nikolai, can I talk about this last comment that he just pulled up? Everyone has to get their rally flannels on.
Oh,
I didn't even realize it. I didn't realize it until he said it. The amount of people that are commenting on still.
Embrace it, baby. Embrace the
How about
flannel,
this?
baby.
I'll make a deal for the people that like the flannel.
Ooh.
I will make a deal.
Ooh.
And I don't like doing this because sometimes I feel like when I say stuff like this, it's like a jinx or a kiss of death.
Okay.
If they get out of this series in whatever game recap it is that they've gotten out of the series, whether it's game 4, 5, 6, or 7, it'll come back.
You're letting them off too easy. We need to let the people do something for us. There's let's say 30. Let's say if 50 people, we're gonna make a clip promoting MYPB. Come watch MYPB playoff hockey Rangers. If 50 people share that post, you wear a flannel for the next start of the next series.
I don't understand. The flannel has
embrace the flannel, baby.
It's not a matter of embracing or not embracing. I want to know why people want it to be embraced. It's terrible.
I don't think it insinuates anything, so I think you're safe.
Yeah, but it's so the other night, what was it, game 1?
Yeah.
The other day.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 4-3. They win a game that probably shouldn't have been close. Like the end was just brutal.
You had a nice dinner you were at.
No.
I thought you were going over the flannel story.
Again. No. I am. Game 1 Sunday night they win. Okay.
Yes.
I am in no mood at like 6:45 when that game is to eat anything. I have no appetite after watching what I just went through. I felt like I just ran a marathon. Not that I would know because I get out of breath if I get the mail. But I didn't feel like eating, but I took the game 1 recap.
Okay.
Instantly, my phone, and I think I even put it in the story. People are texting, not just Instagram. Yo, bro, where's the flannel? Bring the flannel out. Why's the flannel? It's the next round. Flannel's good luck. The flannel is awful. Enough.
So here's my proposal.
Mhm.
because Nikolai's asking for the flannel and the beanie now. All right, so
Fine.
50 people, 50 has to be 50, and like we'll count just shares total. 50 shares. So you could share it on Instagram, you could share an Instagram post, you could share it on your Facebook, you could share the YouTube, whatever you want to share. If 50 people share a clip that we'll make for MYPB,
Oh, stop.
50 people share it. Starting the next series, you have them from now until the next series. Starting the next series, you will come to that show with a flannel and beanie on.
Oh, can I also mention one other thing?
I'm trying to change the subject.
No. It's my ADHD talking because I can jump around like you wouldn't believe. Last week,
Yes.
I put it on the story. We have not been on. We know I went to the Knicks game.
Yeah.
I purposely went in early with my son
Yeah.
because everyone had been telling me forever that I had to get the prime rib thing
Yeah.
in the garden.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
Like legit amazing. Everybody has been telling me all season because I haven't been a lot this year about getting the prime rib
Yes.
at the garden. It was literally worth every penny, and it's a lot of pennies. Like, and my son wanted one too, so it was like 2 pennies worth orders.
Yeah.
It was well worth it.
Nice. Very nice.
So those people who wanted the prime rib,
Great.
we're good.
Now shifting back,
Yes.
Chris wants, all right, flannel, beanie, unbuttoned flannel with the Matt Rempy shirt on underneath.
How about this, Chris? We'll get a Zach
We need
Jones
50.
shirt.
We need 50
We'll-
shares.
We'll get a
50 shares.
Zach Jones shirt.
And we'll make it. It'll be a special clip promoting the show and
Mm.
what we do here. And you guys could share. We'll let you know which one it is. And it'll be like, watch NYPB.
Let 'em get through
you
the
play
series
off
first.
hockey. You have from now
So,
until the start of next series.
A good question on Instagram,
Yes.
and it's a tough one to answer. I may deflect to Jeremy for help because he was there last night. What playoff crowd has been better, Rangers or Knicks?
Ooh.
I'm gonna give my answer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before I say what I'm gonna say, what would
don't
you
get
say?
the answer yet. We don't do
You
the
want-
real
you-
answer. Let's take a guess first. Say what you're gonna say. I have a guess.
What I'm gonna say?
Yeah, it's like for example, don't say it yet. I'm gonna say just pure on numbers and
Mhm.
stats. I feel like the hockey rink takes up way more space than the basketball court. So I feel like the basketball court has more people in MSG.
So
That might be
speaking
a
of
factor,
MSG, Nick's asking if it was a $25 sandwich. It was a $21 sandwich. Again, it's a lot of pennies.
I feel like it's more jammed packed in a Knick game because there's more seats, there's more people.
Okay, so
So
what
that
is
might be a
what
factor.
is your guess?
I don't know. I think there's.
By
more
the
people.
way, this is obviously an opinion-based answer. So yeah, I'm going to give you my opinion, but I'm not. There's no factual.
I feel like the Ranger fans are louder, but you just have more people at a Knick game because there's like you could like there's like way more.
There's difference of 1,000 people. I mean, it's a lot, but it's not. I don't know that would
Okay.
be different. But what's your guess? Rangers or Knicks?
If we're saying it's just 1,000, I think the Knick fans have been depressed for so long that they might be louder right now.
Okay.
Today.
I'll give you my answer in a minute. What do you were there last night?
Yeah, so let's see. I've been going to playoff games for a while. I would honestly say like it's got to be a Rangers playoff game because like the Knicks haven't been relevant and like loud in the Garden since the 90s.
Exactly.
And like
That's what
my
I'm saying.
dad was at those games and it's nothing like the 90s Knicks. It's just,
So you're saying it's not even as loud as the 90s?
no, it's not even as loud as the 90s. Like,
So even
So
like
it's
today,
so he brings up a good point.
DiVincenzo hits that 3 to like end the game. It's like
It
crickets.
was crazier in the 90s. Here's why.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this because I'm one of these people
Okay.
like your father.
Yes.
The MSG has priced the real fans to an
Got it.
extent out of
Got
tickets.
it.
And the secondary market has not helped either. And so what happens is, and it is nothing against the corporate people of America,
Yeah.
right? I'm not getting into that.
They're just wearing
But,
a suit and tie.
They're
not
wearing a
cheering.
suit and tie, and it's not as loud as it used to be in the 90s.
Okay.
When I would go to Ranger playoff games in the 90s, like a terrible example is not fair. I was in the Stanley Cup Finals Game 5. Marc Messier tied the game that they could have won the cup at 3. Honestly, my memory of that game is the roof could have came off the building with how loud it was. It is not like that anymore in either game. So you're going to go Rangers. You're going to go Knicks.
Not anymore.
You're going to go Rangers?
I'm going back to Rangers. Not after that stat.
Yeah, I am going to say that I think that the Garden, my opinion,
Yeah.
would be the Knicks.
Interesting.
Because it is not to say that I think the Ranger games are not loud at all, but if you told me which one I think is crazy, like if you look on Instagram, there are these clips, and I watch every one of them because I'm a loser, but they'll show you after the Knick games
people walking around
outside,
the MSG,
outside
Yeah,
MSG.
they're like flipping cards.
The Rangers games are not like that. I'm not saying they need to be like
Yeah.
that, and also that's outside versus inside, and I guess that wasn't the question. But I was at the Knick game last week,
Yeah.
and from what I've seen at Ranger games, and I've been to plenty of Ranger playoff games, I would slightly give the edge to the Knicks.
Wow. Why do you think that?
The other thing is also with this basketball, you have more reasons to cheer, right? In hockey, you get 3 goals a game on average you're cheering for.
You're cheering for
Brunson
like
hits a 3, you're cheering every time. DiVincenzo hits a 3. The other team calls
The
timeout.
pipes are
You're
warmed
waving.
up.
Yeah. I mean, you're yelling. Like that game last week that I was out.
Yeah.
And good comment. You've been priced out of the playoffs for 10 years and even more now with kids. I'm totally in the same boat with my kids, right? My kids want to go to games, and I mean, I could take them. I have the tickets, but at the same time, it's costing me like a vacation in the summer to go to a game too.
Yeah.
My point last week is at that game when the Knicks went up 6 with 26 or 28 seconds left, whatever it was. I mean, that place was electric. Wouldn't even be. Because you were on the precipice of eliminating the Sixers and moving on, okay? And the fact that, look, we're not covering Tyrese Maxey getting fouled on a 4-point play, whatever. They ended up winning the series. But I just don't know. Maybe last night a double overtime goal would compare to that. But you can't use last night because most games are not double overtime winners, right? You're using the extreme.
Yeah.
So, speaking of ADHD, do you guys think Laugh has it? I'm curious because he couldn't find a way to sit in the post game. It's up at Michael. Oh God, this ADHD stuff. I don't know. I have no way to evaluate if Alexi Lafreniere is ADHD.
Hey, they say ADHD is a superpower.
I would agree. I would agree. I'll go to our man Austin. Also, people in basketball go for just the fact to say they're there, and it's a show, and hockey fans live for it. Very good point.
Do you know which Austin that is?
I know what Austin that is.
From Favales.
From Favales. If you're in, we do talk that, North Jersey stuff.
Yeah.
If you are in Bergen County, or even if you're in a nearby county, because it's worth driving for, Favales in Ramsey, New Jersey, is legit good food.
The prosciutto pear pizza may be the best pizza I've ever had.
I mean,
I get it every time. Every time I go there, I get one of those prosciutto pies. Prosciutto pear pies are delicious.
So Nikolai's point on the ticket, suits in the lower bowls, fans in the nosebleed, is also accurate.
Where do you see this?
3 up from the
Nikolai?
bottom. Nikolai, yeah.
There you go.
Nope, 2 down.
There you go.
Suits in the lower bowl. Yeah. So when you go and you look down below now, and I'm not getting on people because your tickets are in 115. You were saying you're seeing. Yeah, there's a lot of people, and look, it's fine. I mean, these people are allowed to go to games. I'm not saying they shouldn't go.
No, I think we just need to be smarter about this. We need on the upper end. There should be like networking bar areas, and they can have their chairs. They have the seats right now. Behind the seats, there should be these open business type settings that people can chat business and whatever, and then go to their seats. But they're not really paying attention to the game. Have the real fans on the court.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, a couple last comments from Instagram before we head out. 0 games in the last 7 years. I've been priced out. I've only ever seen them play in Boston. Never been to MSG because of the price. Is there going to be any watch parties?
Ooh.
I am not. So
only if you bring your flannel and beanies, you're allowed to come.
I don't. I'm going to say this. You wouldn't want to watch a Ranger playoff game with me. I am not enjoyable. My daughter, who I love, and I see her do this, and I will call her out on it. So she may not be happy. I'm going to say it here, but I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
We'll sit like last night. She's sitting on the couch watching the game with me, my wife, and my son.
But she's angled with the camera watching.
She's angled, and I see her doing it, but I'm not in the mood to deal with it. Will be hysterically laughing at me. Like nothing is funny that's happened on the game. You're laughing at something I just said or did. So I don't know you would want to watch party with me.
I do.
You don't.
Can we this year?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We could do, I don't know. I also don't like necessarily watching these games with people. Like, I think it's cool the Rangers sponsor parties in the city. Like,
Yeah.
they'll have like designated bars.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun. Like, if you're into that, I
Yeah.
think it would be a lot of fun. To me, I can't be around 250 drunk people at a bar during a Ranger playoff game. Like, I'm so stressed out as it is. That's not a good spot for me.
Fine. You can come over to my house. I'm with the newborn. The newborn's upstairs sleeping. It's just me
I'll wake her
high-fiving
up.
myself.
Do you know that last night, I'm not going to, I will not mention names, and I
Yeah.
shouldn't mention this, but it
Yeah.
was really funny. Somebody wrote on DM'd us, and after the game, and I said something like, it was crazy or whatever. And she wrote, I survived it because I took a Xanax.
Wow.
She took a Xanax. I'm not
use.
promoting drug use. So, all right.
If you come to the watch party, you have to bring Xanax for everyone then.
Yeah, you do. Real quickly around the league, game 2 of the other Eastern Conference semifinal tonight, Boston and Florida. Man, I don't know what they do in Toronto. I'm out of answers for them. We talk about this every year, what Toronto should do. Whatever we say doesn't happen. Whatever they do doesn't work. Like, I don't even know. I don't want. We're not going to even go down the road. I don't know. I just don't know what they do there. Boston, I was shocked won game 1. I thought they would be emotionally spent from 48 hours later playing an overtime game 7 to fly to South Florida and win that game. Boy, I tell you, Florida better win tonight because you don't want to go down 2-0 going back to Boston. I would expect Florida to win tonight. I almost would think that Boston's got to be in the back of their head somewhat content getting a split down there. I would like Florida tonight. Last night during the Ranger game, and that was that the Dallas game was playing because the Rangers cut out. And with
that was crazy. I was pissed.
Someone's getting fired for that.
Yeah.
They cut to this Colorado game, Colorado Dallas, and then it's not on obviously, but they have the score on the top right corner of the screen, and it's 3-0 Dallas. So I don't even
with the first 5 minutes.
I went upstairs, and if that game was close because I wasn't going to bed after a game like double overtime game like that, I would normally put on the other game and watch it. So I wake up this morning, it's 4-3 Colorado wins in overtime.
That's crazy.
Now, Dallas lost the first 2 games at home versus Vegas. I mean, there's no panic there, but like you can't be blowing a 3-0 lead at home.
It's because, like we said before, these teams, they get an early lead and then they take the foot off the gas. They just want to sit in this 1-3-1 or whatever, and they think playing defense safe is the way to go. No, you attack. Keep the puck on their end.
Yeah. And the other series, which hasn't started yet, will start tonight, Vancouver and Edmonton. That's a great series, and here's why. I would expect Edmonton will win that series, but here's why it's a great series. You have a Western Conference semifinals with 2 Western Canadian teams going head-to-head. It's great for hockey.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot, and you should be into the series because you have players like McDavid and Draisaitl, and on the other side, you have plenty of star power on Vancouver, too. JT Miller, who Ranger fans know. But it's like just the fact that it's a Western Canadian semifinal series, I'm into it just for that. I don't even care who the players are. The players only make it better. So game 3 tomorrow night in Carolina. We are back on, let's see. So game 3, game 5
let's
is
plan this out the right way.
Game 5 is Monday. So we could go on Tuesday or Wednesday because game 6 is not till Thursday. We'll probably be on Tuesday.
Tomorrow. Game 5 is on Monday.
Right. So we're
Game
probably on
7
Tuesday.
is on Saturday. What the wait? No, game 6. There we go.
Is on
Game
Thursday.
6
It
is on
skips the day.
Thursday.
It skips the day between 5 and 6, which is now
So it doesn't
technically.
matter. So it doesn't matter if we go Tuesday or Wednesday.
We'll figure it out. We will be back. Thank you to everyone today blowing up the chat, YouTube, Instagram. You guys, I tried to take as many questions as I can. I'll answer one more real quick. Assuming Rangers move on and looking out at all, who do you fear most after this round, the Eastern or Western teams? Someone asked me, he's definitely not listening, asked me on Sunday via text, like, the Rangers were up 3-1 or in that game, and I got like the text message you hate to read, and it was like, dude, if the Rangers made the cup, how many cup final games tickets would you use? I'm like, I can't even think past like a period of the next game. So I don't know. Look, I think I'll say this, and I've been saying this all along. The team that I fear the most in the entire NHL is Carolina. So I think if you get past Carolina, if I told you that's who I fear most, I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. It certainly won't be easy, but like, we'll see. Take it one step at a time because tomorrow night is going to be a massive challenge down in Carolina.
Can we look at that? Can that be the game we watch together?
No, it cannot be. You wouldn't talk to me after it.
I'd be high-fiving you all game.
No. Well, hopefully there would be
except
reasons.
for when Rempy scores.
Yeah.
You'd be screaming your head.
Again, I don't hate Matt Rempy. I just don't. There has to be a need for him, and right now there's not.
Sure.
Thank you to the Bamboozle Project for their sponsorship. As always, you can check them out using promo code MYPB. Use that promo code, save yourself a whopping 20% off your total order. We thank DraftKings as well. We will be back live. We will be either Tuesday or Wednesday after Game 5. So either the series will be over at that point, or it'll be going to a Game 6 where someone up 3-2. So there will be plenty to cover regardless of what it is. We look forward to talking to you then. Remember, we are so active this time of year on Instagram. It is like a 24-hour thing. It feels like. We appreciate that. I'm trying to keep up with all you guys. You can send it to us there. And enjoy the rest of your week.